Hello and welcome to the garden. Something a little bit different today. I'm going to plant up some ginger. So a few weeks ago I pricked out some lemongrass and they've all done very nicely. Here's one of the young seedlings. I've got a couple of side shoots developing here. Very happy with these plants. They seem happy and healthy, which is what you want. So these are great. I will probably plant these in one of the greenhouses, and when they're a little bit bigger, I'll just have a look at the root in here. I've recently watered these, so the compost isn't going to fall apart. Well, there's a little hint of root in this pot here, but very little, so I can probably leave them in here for at least some weeks, and by the time these are a good size with a reasonable bit of root on, temperatures under cover will be, I think, pretty stable. So this one will go back in the propagator. It's not a hot propagator. I've probably got it on about 15 degrees just to maintain a comfortable temperature for these. And yeah, I will be planting these up later. Well, I thought it would be nice to have a bit of ginger to go with my lemongrass. And actually, I'm rather late for this. Ideally, I would start the ginger earlier in the spring, maybe even towards the end of winter. Obviously, I've got to keep that warm either indoors or in a heated propagator here. It will not appreciate any frost. That will do for it. The reason I'm late is because I thought I already had some ginger. I overwintered a couple of pots and I inspected them a few days ago and found that, I don't think it was the frost, but the little plants there were decayed and nasty. So I've got rid of those, and I've got a collection of odd bits of ginger root that when I buy some ginger, I tend to keep odd knobbly bits and let them shoot in case I want some plants. So here's one where the shoot here is quite well developed. It's not hard to figure out which way up to plant that one. Some of these have a lot less shoot to them. So here's one, there's a shoot at this end, and actually all you need to look for are these, well, they're a bit like the eyes on a potato really, these small bulges that are the growing points. And if I set that way up in a bit of compost, I'm going to end up with 3 shoots there. This one doesn't have an awful lot on it, but again, there's an eye here. And then I've got some others which have nice little shoots coming. So I've got a mixed bag here. They've been hanging around indoors for some weeks, and now if I pot them up, they will certainly grow. Like I say, it would have been better to start these a little bit earlier. You can keep the ginger going so long as you keep it reasonably warm, moving the pots indoors or in a heated environment. Mine didn't work, but you can also grow them quite happily as an annual. Then it's better to start earlier in the season, but I'm in the situation I'm in, and I'm going to get them going now and see if I can get something by the end of the year. So I'm just going to plant one of those pieces per pot. Really nothing clever to this. I'll put that in the right sort of way and just a little bit of compost over the top. You don't need to cover them very much. Probably I'll set them slightly deeper when I put them out, and just a quick water. Now I will probably pop these in the propagator while I've got a bit of space. I'm not going to have space in there for too long, but I will run out of space when I have to pot on the grafted tomato plants. But at the moment I've got a little bit of space, and I will keep those warm in there. And probably by the time I'm potting on the grafted tomato plants, conditions will be pretty good in the greenhouse. So I'm not expecting that we'll get a frost under cover now. not here in the south. The forecast is looking pretty good. So, oh, you never know, towards the end of April maybe, but certainly not for the next week or two. But I just have to be careful not to let these get too cold. But that is it. This one's great, and that is going to romp away. So I've set those individual pieces of ginger into their own little pot, and that is only a temporary situation. When they're growing away, I will be moving them. You could start those alternatively in a tray. That would be absolutely fine. Just lay them out in a tray. Or if you're going to grow them in a pot, you might as well start them off in the pot you're going to use. Saves faffing around. I'm going to try them this year in the greenhouse bed, I think, and see whether they grow happily there or not. Anyway, if you've never tried ginger before, it is a fun little plant. It's remarkably easy to grow. You just need a piece of ginger from the supermarket or greengrocer. It will shoot quite happily, it will grow away happily, and if you're lucky, you will get to see the flowers, and they are very attractive. It makes a great little house plant. That's where I've grown it mostly in the past. Last year I had it in pots in the greenhouses. It's a pity they didn't overwinter. I think I may have had that a little bit damp. In any event, I had some decay there and it was all a bit rubbish. But this year I'm planning to put them in the beds, and at the end of the year I can lift all of that and use whatever I want and maybe pot up a few bits to try and keep it going. Or alternatively, I could leave some of it in place and see if I can overwinter it in situ. It will need covering because it will not appreciate the winter cold, but it might be possible to do that. I'll have to see. Depends how I feel at the end of the year. Anyway, I do hope I will get a little bit of fresh ginger to harvest. It's quite wonderful when you take it absolutely fresh and it's still very juicy and immensely fragrant. Lovely stuff. Should go very nicely with the lemongrass. Anyway, that is all for this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and bye for now.